Why is that? Okay. All right, there we go. Good morning, Michael Knight.
Good morning, Vinnie, and happy May Day to you and to all our contributors, listeners, and
all the peeps.
Any interested party that happens to be tuning in by driving by our content today. We wish you a fabulous, freaky, fractious Friday, a wonderful maypole day. You can play tetherball. You can
This is your
maypole. You can have a school march where the classes get together and they march around the playground and they all get in line and they celebrate May Day. Or you can do what people are being encouraged to do today. That is not work, not go to school, not participate in society's organized official institutions. I don't know. My wife Kristen and I were saying that the not going to school part seemed a little rude, because this is a time when you should be smarter than you were last year at this time. This is a time when you should learn something that'll be valuable for you later in life.
Absolutely.
And deal with the truth of our history. And
absolutely.
And by not participating, it sounds like a good idea perhaps to some people, but not being smart, not being educated, not being informed, this is no time for that.
Right. Not participating is what got us into this mess.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's always struck me as odd that we now, in our lives here in the United States, celebrate May Day. We have kind of accepted it. It's not an equal holiday to like July 4th or anything.
We didn't used to, right?
But it's among a group of people that grew up in the 60s. 50s and 60s, but mostly the 60s and 70s, early 70s. May Day was taught to us as, now it means something. But back when we were going to school, this was a communist holiday. This was a holiday that the commies, the Russians and the people that, live under dictators, all jump around the maypole and celebrate, and they do the dance and they close the schools and the businesses, and everybody gets a day off to celebrate the worker.
Workers of the world unite. That was a bad theme. And the Russians always had parades. They bring out their rockets and their goose-stepping infantry, and that was the image that we saw. And May Day became a negative.
Yeah. Where else it wasn't celebrated? I believe, if I remember my history and readings and viewings right, in Nazi Germany and those countries. I don't believe. And they were, again, a society that celebrated workers, had workers, forced workers in many places, but for whatever reason, they didn't. I don't think they celebrated it, or they didn't celebrate it again on the level of maybe France, right next door, or maybe it was seen as I don't know, a lazy person's holiday in some way, or at least that's what we were trying to be sold.
And Vinnie, in our country, in our nation, in our society, we did not celebrate the worker. We didn't say the worker is the backbone of the nation. The worker is.
Well, we had Labor Day. We do have that, and I don't know that other countries have that, but
that's organized labor. The average guy working in a store, the average person working in a shop, was not celebrated. In fact, what they wanted, what their rights amounted to, what their needs were listed as, were not considered. And you could run for office and never consider the worker as a factor in your campaign. The worker was the simple person who may or may not have had an education, or may or may not have had the income to be powerful enough to merit political consideration.
Well, and this is looking at it from a back east perspective. I don't know how it was out, if that's how it was out on the West Coast, but on the East Coast, um, the politicians kowtowed to the workers because the
Yeah.
unions were so powerful.
Right.
You didn't want to piss off the American Federation of Teachers. You didn't want to piss off the police union. You didn't want to piss off the ILGWU, which is basically gone now, the International Ladies Garment Workers Union. You
Did
didn't
you
want
want
to
to
piss
did you
them
want to
off.
piss off the American Federation of Radio and Television Artists? Was
That
that in
nobody
fact
cared about them.
nobody cares about them?
Still, nobody cares about them. I won't knock the union because it always seriously reminded me of. The first union I belonged to was the Teamsters through the International Brotherhood of Soft Drink Workers. That was our union at the soda plant that I worked at when I was, 17, 18 years old. And it was the most corrupt union in the world. They didn't do anything for you if you were fired. There was no minimum wage because we were all people who worked on percentage of what we made with route trucks. There was no medical benefits, no pension. If there was, I'd like to know. I don't even know if the union exists anymore. But
so they just wanted you to pay union
they
dues.
wanted you to pay. You had to pay them every month to work. And it always gave me that my father's solid opposition to unions, because every time they would try to come in and unionize his shop, he would show the union organizer the door in no uncertain terms.
Clearly point out the door to the union organizer.
He would clearly show the union organizer that this is where you exit the building.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of funny because my father had so many guys from Brazil and Argentina working for him that the only guy who could understand what the union organizer was saying was the kid who pumped gas. The gas pump jockey. But the mechanics, the guys who actually made some money, the mechanics and the shop people, they didn't speak English. My father always talked to them in Italian, or this combination. In Argentina, they speak a combination of Spanish and Italian. And he could speak that. And so the Argentinian guys taught him how to speak that. And so that was, but so my exposure to unions early on was not a good one. And even into when I joined Astra, anytime I got fired, they never helped me get my job back.
They never did for anybody.
Yeah. The only thing that you got out of Astra was a health plan that you could join if you made a certain amount of money and a pension. So in retrospect, it was a 50-50 proposition. They did some good things for you and they did some bad things for you. But, if I took that money...
in the same town, you could work for a union station, go across town and work for a non-union station. And there was no method or procedure to unionize or to normalize the union across the industry.
Which is not how it was with many other unions that I was familiar with. I mean, if you remember the hospital workers union, the civil service workers union, if they went out on strike or they had a job action, you didn't cross their picket lines.
Right.
The trades, construction unions, they had a job action going on. I remember the steel workers went on strike one year, and the newspapers were filled with headlines of drivers from out of state who tried to deliver steel,
Not
and
going to
found out
happen.
that that doesn't go too far.
Right.
But if I remember right, they had like a parking lot off the Jersey Turnpike, like filled with steel for, it might have been the World Trade Center. I mean, I don't know that for a fact, but at about the time we're talking, which was, 1968, 69, 70.
They were building it.
Longshoreman was another union. That
was a strong union.
Strongest union, I think, besides the auto workers, maybe. I remember, going down to the docks to, for a short time. I worked on a truck, and we used to go down there. The Flocati rug guy, would go down there to pick up stuff because he had a lot of stuff coming in from Greece and Europe, and that was it. That was a union. I mean, you had to grease everybody. All the union guys had to get greased. The dock boss, the timekeeper, the guy who at the gate who let your truck onto the dock, because you had to have approval to get stuff. And in those days, approval was the dock boss coming over and looking at what your cargo was and decided if he needed something for his daughter.
And there was no way a non-union truck driver was going to pick up a union load in a union environment.
No. Actually, non-union guys were picking up loads all the time. It didn't.
Excuse me.
But you weren't going to work on the dock if you weren't union. You couldn't go down to the dock and get a job if you weren't in the union. Work, and those guys worked on what they call a shape up. They had to show up every day and get called. And the guy who was calling people worked for the union. The guy who, you had to give him money to get called.
Yeah.
It was a hugely corrupt system. And now I'm pretty sure that they've cleaned that up to a certain degree.
Cleaned up the question mark in the process.
Well, and I always wondered cleaning up, because I don't know, when you clean things up, sometimes it doesn't mean that the corruption gets cleaned up. It just moves somewhere else.
Just gets normalized.
Yeah, it gets the rich guys who are making money, the guys upstairs, the supervisors, they're now making the money.
Right.
I remember one Christmas we had to go and buy. I used to work with two other guys, and we'd go down to the docks, and we used to have to go to, this was the docks in Brooklyn. The one, matter of fact, when you would drive on Brooklyn Queens Expressway, and you see that wonderful view of Manhattan, Lower Manhattan, from Brooklyn Heights.
Right.
There was more corruption going on under you at those docks that you're driving over than you could believe. But Christmas time, they didn't get bottles of liquor. They got cases
yeah,
of liquor. They didn't get, that was a good job to have. That was a job that you were making maybe $30,000 a year, and you were living in a $500,000 house.
Yeah.
At that time. So, do the math, as they say.
Do it every day.
Now we celebrate May Day. The unions are gone for the most part. Not a lot of strong unions anymore in this country, except the civil service workers unions, and even they're not that strong, as we saw evidenced in Elon Musk or Leon Musk and what he did.
When he used to work for the government, when he was a government employee of Donald Trump's. We've forgotten about that time in our recent history where Elon became Leon, and was a daily thorn in the side of the government workers, as he's dismantling the process by which our government serves its people.
Yeah, most hated man in America for a while.
Yeah.
And Trump wasn't going to let him keep that title, but
no, Trump wanted that title for himself.
Yeah, that's the great thing about America is no matter how bad the title is, there's always somebody that's going to try to beat you out. Most hated man. No, I want to be the most hated man in America.
I am the most hated man in America, and I can prove it.
Yeah, just listen to Jimmy Kimmel or the Mikey and Vinnie show.
Mikey and Vinnie nail it down every day, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10:10 or thereabouts. And we keep a union shop. We never work in it. We never open the door, but we have a union shop.
We have a union shop. Yeah, we are both retired AFTRA, so I would call us a union shop.
Yeah.
I always wondered about that rule too with AFTRA, because if you retire from AFTRA and you go back to work, don't you have to give up your pension or something?
I never did. I got to collect my pension and work, but I wasn't working in a union shop.
Yeah, see, that's the trick. You couldn't go back. You couldn't go back and do union work. But
you could make an agreement with them. You could return to union work and be paid a union due and enjoy union benefits, but you'd have to have an agreement with them. I don't know what it would cost or what you would have to give up to enjoy that new agreement, but
yeah, but knowing a union, it'd be a lot.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't know if this country will ever see anything as strong as the unions that were around in the 50s, the 40s, and the 50s, really the 50s and the 60s. The advent of right-to-work states, the automakers that are coming into this country are no longer building plants in Detroit. They're building plants in the South, where the labor is cheap and plentiful. And
the cars, do they still make lemons? Can you buy a car that's been put together so poorly that it's never going to work correctly? And you've got yourself an
Michael,
official lemon.
That's an interesting thing, because I think it's much harder today to buy a car that isn't going to work correctly.
Because of the robotic assembly plant.
Yeah, because of the robotic assembly, because say what you want without the unions, but in many places, the automobile companies have paid their workers a fair compensation, provided benefits for them. I mean, I know that the foreign companies that have come in, Kia and Kia, Hyundai, Mercedes, Volkswagen, Subaru, all of those companies that have come in and set up shop in non-union places, for the most part, have paid their workers well, and not really had a lot of, if any, strikes.
It's funny that they have a concern about the welfare and the education and the ability of the worker to put together a good car, whereas across the world, we don't care what sort of hell you're going through when you build phones all day. Just put the little pieces together, make the phone. If you're suffering in sweatshop conditions in China or India, that's really your problem. It's not my problem. My problem is make the damn phone and get them here to America, where we can sell them at a comfortable price. And the hell with the concerns and the health and the future of the workers who make the phones.
Yeah, unfortunately, what counts to us as a society, America, is that it works and it's cheap.
Did you get the stuff? Did you do the thing? I don't care what hell you went through to get there.
Yeah, it works and it's cheap. But the right-wing people generally don't care what somebody had to go through to get it there, what somebody had to, it's just that it got there and I got it. And I got it when I needed it or I wanted it. Really, it's when I wanted it. I mean, need is different from want.
Same thing with Nike shoes. Why would you pay $150 for a pair of athletic shoes? Well, you have been conditioned to need them. You need those Nikes. You need that look. You need that article of clothing.
It's well, and that's what advertising does to you.
Yep,
that's what their marketing does. You listen. You can say what you want about Phil Knight, but he and his people created an environment with Nike shoes that made you feel like you had to have those shoes was to be cool.
And the funny thing is, the track team was never the cool sport to be involved with. The track team had nothing to draw new athletes to it. You run in a circle, you train by yourself, you run, and then what do? Then you run some more. Here are the shoes. Here are the shoes to help you run.
Keep running. Where am I going?
And when he finally started selling to basketball players and football players, then he had a product.
Well, yeah, that gave him access. Now I mean, I haven't studied marketing or anything not like in that space with that big, but they were big, Nike in California, because there was a lot of runners. Oregon, obviously, because there's a lot of runners. Back east, not so much. But when they got to the baseball players, when they got to the football players, when they started making the spike shoes, and listen, they were also masters at marketing to African Americans. They made that shoe must-have shoes, no matter how poor you were, no matter what kind of condition you were in, no matter what, you had to have that. They made them a status symbol in the Black community, and there were stories that people would go without food to get a pair of Nikes. They would rob them from people. Because that's how much that item was a status symbol among people. And how many times did we hear the I don't know, somebody getting killed, a kid getting killed because a couple of people wanted his shoes,
right?
Or his boombox. I mean, it wasn't just the shoes. This was, but they became that symbol. And
the product became something more than just something that you buy. You needed it. You needed it for status. And now, May Day, having had all that history, today, what's it mean in America? Today, it means the resistance. It means someone stands in opposition to Donald Trump and all the toothless, fearful little men that surround him that bring his worldview into focus every day. They lie on his behalf. I couldn't believe the senators and representatives and members of the cabinet that went on television yesterday saying that gas prices used to be, just a couple of years ago, were higher than they are now. A lie. That it had all been done before. A lie. That it was a fact that food prices now, today, are coming down because of what Donald Trump is doing in the war. That's a lie. And they went on television to do that lie. Worse than insisting that you buy a certain kind of shoe, they're insisting that you have a certain type of belief. They want you to believe that today, gas is cheaper, food is cheaper, living is cheaper, everything is cheaper. Donald Trump has made his promises come true. He's bringing the cost down on everything. When that's a bloody lie, that the cost of everything has gone through the roof. He hasn't done anything but increase what it costs for you to live in this country and to taint the process by which you judge reality. He's a liar. If he's talking, he's lying. If the men around him are speaking, they are lying. And it was fascinating that people, candidates, members of Congress, members of the cabinet, all came to yesterday with that lie on their lips, and television put them on the air and said, tell me a lie. Tell me a lie about the economy. Tell me a lie about the price of gas. Tell me a lie about the price of food and eggs and what your lunch is going to cost you today. And I'll put it on TV. I'll broadcast it for you.
It's astounded me. One of the things that astounds me, and many things do, but one of the things that astounds me is how the press has allowed this to go on. How, I watched a few times the tape of Nora O'Donnell interviewing Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And where he rips her a new one for saying what was in this guy's manifesto. Now, I got to be honest with you. I don't believe that we should be broadcasting what these people put in their manifestos. I think it's wrong. I don't think it's a good idea. I think it highlights them. It makes them, puts them in a different light. That being said, she didn't say anything that wasn't true. But yet, she let him tell her that he was absolved of those charges.
Completely exonerated. I've been exonerated.
And
that's a lie.
It's a flat out lie. It's a flat out lie. And she didn't take him on about it. Now, I know you were getting to that point of, and listen, I'm not going to, we've all been in that position, the tough interview. He's got to be the squirreliest interview in the world because he's got 10 people standing over him. He got his Carolyn 3Ks over there threatening to sue you, threatening to do this, threatening to do that. Your boss that you used to think gave you freedom to say or write what you want is now his best buddy.
Now works for the Ellison family.
Yeah, all of a sudden, but you can't. But it's not the first time it's happened, and he's gotten away with that consistently. He's gotten away with the lies. And nobody challenges him on it. She went on the air. Carolyn 3Ks went on the air with a press conference the Monday after the thing happened, and she ripped the people on the left and the Democrats and this, we got to stop the political violence, stop the political rhetoric, stop this, stop that. Well, the biggest producer of political rhetoric, violent rhetoric in this country is your boy.
Yep.
There's nobody in this country
He's the
that
source
has gotten
of it all.
more exposure for more violent rhetoric in this country than President Slapdick. None. Go back and you can look it up.
It says Casey Stengel. You could look it up.
You can look it up. Is nobody, but nobody has put violent ideas in people's heads more than that man.
Endorsing violence, endorsing political violence over and over again.
He gets a free pass on it from the press. And so it's hard not to believe that the press isn't it. This whole thing about he hates the media and this and that. It's all bullshit. It's all a scam. That the media is making money. You think that we're sorry to see Donald Trump go? They were crying. They wanted the guy back. He makes their meters tick. He makes their gas pump roll. It's like a 24/7 accident scene. People tune into it and look at it. Even if you tell yourself you're not going to look at it anymore, you're not going to tune into it, you still do.
Every day.
You got to see what's going on, whether you agree with him or don't agree with him. It gets the blood boiling. So, and by the way, just in a check here, let me just quickly go to this. All right, the live ticking average of gasoline in the United States of America as of this morning, prices are up 2.1 cents since yesterday. Prices are up 36.5 cents in a week. Prices are up 34.9 cents from last month. And from last year, prices are up $1.26.1.
And if you hear differently, it's just another Republican telling the same lie to you, and you have bought it. You bought the gas. You already know what it costs, but you've been lied to later in the day, and you forget what you did in the morning. You forget what your breakfast cost. Somebody comes in and just tells you that it's less.
The highest recorded average for gasoline over the last, since 2008. So what's that, 18 years? Was $6.16.22.
And the Republicans who lied to you yesterday still have their jobs. They're still making their money off the lies that they told the month before and the year before. But the lies they told you yesterday were part of their job. It got broadcast. It got considered as if it were true. And the fact is, it was just another Republican lie that made the news cycle, that has maybe been reconsidered today in another light and fact-checked by the press. They gave you the lie as if it were real. All fostered by the Republicans.
If I just checked it here while I'm talking to you, how hard could it be for somebody in the media, in the national media, in the media that really comes over our television sets and sets our mindset and matters?
One source that did check it live on the air was CNBC, and they called him on it. No, the guy said, you must have been taking your vacation in California because the price was not what you said it was. It never has been what you said it was. That what you did was lie to the American people. I just, with one flick of my finger, found it on my computer, and that was a lie. CNBC caught him. But the rest of the outfits couldn't be bothered with the truth. What they needed was the story, and they needed to file it on time. They needed the news cycle to continue.
Well, Michael, this is what we've been saying. You know, we started this program, this particular iteration of us, at about the same time COVID started. We started this program as a distraction. We wanted to give people something to keep their minds off of COVID, something jolly, something funny, something that would just keep their, we knew people were stuck in front of their computers. So,
and we knew there was a divided populace, some people who chose suddenly not to believe in science, not to believe in doctors, not to believe in vaccines, not to believe in the truth. They wanted nothing to do with reality. They wanted a new reality based on lies and conjecture and the phony conspiracy theories that the Republicans were becoming famous for. And the COVID story became a story of the enlightened people who were fighting the disease and the fucking idiots that were on the side of the disease, that had policies and plans to make it worse for everybody, for the world. It was going to be worse. And that's what we had to deal with, not just the virus, but the
idiocy that was around. We wanted to try to at least get people to think for themselves. Don't listen to what we tell you. Research it. Yeah. Get on your computer. Look it up.
Check your sources.
Don't believe the same guy that'll tell you to put oatmeal in your radiator to fix a leak
That would
Maybe you
be
shouldn't be
something.
believing that guy. Maybe you should go and find somebody who knows what the fuck they're talking about. And that guy in this case was Dr. Fauci or the other doctors who were, saying that no, don't inject ivermectin into your veins. Don't inject this. Don't swallow that. Don't take that.
It's
They're
a it's
horse tranquilized. They're
it's a
horse.
medicine. It's a medicine for goats. Maybe it's not best used for you.
And the one thing that we have said all along has been the credo of this show is research it, look it up. The information is at your fingertips.
Yeah.
All you got to do is look it up. And listen, I'm guilty. Sometimes I don't look it up. Sometimes, but one thing that God has given me, thank God, or whoever hands this stuff out, is giving me an ability to look at things, to research things, to not believe something that I see on YouTube or something that I see on some kind of social media channel, unless I go and I have a reliable source that will tell me the same thing. And everybody probably knows our go-tos. The New York Times used to be CBS News. I don't know if I trust CBS News as much as I do.
You have to trust Larry Ellison and his idiot son and the goals that they have set out for themselves to change the news business. The news is going to not be who, what, where, when, and how. It's going to be Ellison, and how they can monetize that cash flow, because the actual truth of the news story is no longer important to them. They have to step in and change the news cycle to the point where they can be proud of their product, knowing that it's a bloody lie.
Oh, it's a shame, because the places where you can get news, reliable news that is unbiased, is reduced unbelievably. Mm-hmm. And even with the ones that you deem reliable, you still have to, you still can't just believe it because it's in the paper anymore. We have more choices than ever for news content, but yet very few good choices.
You have a right to make a choice of let Jeff Bezos give you the news every day, filtered through his need to own and to control, or you can search it in a more sophisticated way with The Economist and the Atlantic Monthly and some of the online news sources that are based mostly in Washington, D.C., but who are working on a daily basis to have investigative reporters working on the major stories and uncovering new details. And it's vital that you are aware of them.
Yeah. And I don't think there was any bigger glaring sign that the jig was up when the Washington Post didn't endorse anybody for president.
As if that was the fair thing to do. On the side of fairness, we're not going to endorse anybody. We want to
we're going to endorse the criminal.
Let ignorance carry the day.
You could have endorsed Ben the Rat and done better.
He had a good year. He had a good campaign.
Well, he had that great song. Michael Jackson, man, slayed it with that song.
And the Spopakia frontage road never got built. I know they said if you voted for the right guy, the Spopakia frontage road was a done deal. It was going to go and connect 66 to 66A at long last. But it never got built. And the Mexicans wouldn't pay for it.
Well, that's the other thing, Michael, is the media doesn't, listen, people should be reminded every day of the promises that this guy makes and doesn't keep. I mean, he'll put a banner up there saying promises kept. The promises aren't kept. The infrastructure that's getting done now, you see all these road projects and so on and so forth, they're from Biden. They're from the Biden infrastructure bill. None of this stuff is from Trump.
Not a Republican voted for it, if you recall.
Right. And well, no, I think didn't one Republican or two, and then you had Manchin in there. I mean, it was a mess.
It's a mess still, with Futterman voting with the Republicans every step of the way.
Oh, there's always got to be one. You know, there's always got to be one, and
the numbers become a push because Rand Paul votes for the Democrats.
Right. It's it's insane, and I don't know that. You know, I hope that it's going to change.
Well, it changes temporarily. Susan Collins sees that her job's in problem, so she votes with the Democrats on important measures to keep her job in Maine. But as soon as it becomes an issue where more people have defected from their party vote, she'll vote with the Republicans again. She's right back in Trump's column. She can't leave for long. She can't piss him off totally. She has to pretend to be sensible for one vote and then resume her insanity with the next vote.
Well, you know, she's. I mean, I'd like to say she's a laughing matter, but she's not, because her inability to stick to something causes people to go without, causes people to die, causes people to.
She flutters in the wind over every measure.
Yeah, but people keep voting her back, right?
She does remain popular in Maine. Good. I don't know.
Yeah, well, Maine, Maine's a quirky place anyway. I mean, have you been to Maine?
I've never been to Maine.
You should go sometime. You'd probably like Maine, Michael.
Yeah, I think I would in the summer.
Yeah. Oh no, you're not gonna like it in the winter. I can tell you that right now. But there's a quirkiness about it that kind of it almost reminds you of a whole state. If Berkeley were a state,
everybody's got a different idea of what reality is. It changes from the rest of New England.
There's a lot of people with a lot of different ideas about reality. Some of them good, some of them not so good. But it's got that kind of vibe to it, where you could see a men's drumming circle next to a woman's tuba circle.
A tuba circle. I'd like to see that.
Well, it's lo-fi. It's definitely lo-fi.
American always gets their tubas and their sousaphones mixed up. The tuba you hold like this, like a big baby. The sousaphone goes around so you can march with it. It's the same notes, it's the same timbre, it's the same register, but you can't march with a tuba. You can barely play a tuba because you have to hold it like you're cradling a 120-pound sheepdog.
But the sousaphone is the one that you see in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade and
college marching bands.
Yeah. The Washington Marching Band.
And named for John Philip Sousa, who wrote a lot of marches. He liked to write. That was his thing. He was of the Four Seasons, he was the one who liked the march.
He had the he did have a lot of I got the da 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 da. Then the monkey wrapped his tail around a flagpole.
Rousing marches. If you got John Philip Sousa to play a song, one thing it would be was rousing.
Well, he was going for the pop culture vein. He wanted to get people excited. He wanted to get the soldiers coming home excited. He wanted to get the people watching the parade, instead of just sitting there looking at these guys walking by all dressed in drab kind of green. He wanted to get people kind of get
into a snappy, snazzy looking uniform Don't play the saxophone, please. Play the trumpet. Give me some brass. Give me something that's going to be heard down the street. And let's go. On three. 1, 2, 3. Bim, 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 bim. Bum, bum,
Which
bum,
was
bum,
great
bum,
unless you
bum,
lived on
bum,
the street.
Yeah. Also, it was a good band to be in if you were a drummer. There was a lot of need for the drums. Lots of drums. Snare drums,
Boom, boom,
bass drums,
boom,
big
boom.
drums. Guys walking just with cymbals. Yeah.
The cymbals would have been the cymbals. I always liked the cymbals. I remember somebody told me once how many cymbal parts, claps of the cymbal there had to be in the Star Spangled Banner. There's an actual, for somebody who's actually doing it according to the book, I forget if it's 11 or 13 or 14, something like that. But there's an actual, if you perform the song the way it's written to be performed, and so ever since, it's funny, I can't remember it right now, it'll come to me. But ever since she told me that, every time I listen to the Star Spangled Banner, I count the cymbal claps to see, and I it's how I gauge whether they're doing it right or not doing right. If they have, I think it was 11. If they are under 11, over 11, you're okay. If it's 11, you're right on.
Also,
You studied your book.
watch out for someone who starts the Star Spangled Banner with "Oh, say." Right away, they're in trouble. They're doing it too slow, way too slow, way too. It's going to take forever to hear this song, and you're not going to be able to hit those and hold those notes because you're a country artist. And the first thing you did was you fell for the trap of play the Star Spangled Banner slowly. Do not play it slowly. Play it with a spirited beat. Oh, can you see?
Right.
Right. Make it go.
As much as we all loved the Marvin Gaye version of the Star Spangled Banner, which is iconic, which is legendary, the one from the NBA All-Star game in
remember, you're not Marvin Gaye.
1974. Excuse me?
Just remember, you're not Marvin Gaye, and you don't have the Motown rhythm section behind you.
Yeah, but he sang it and I think did a really, I mean, it's one of the soulful, beautiful versions of it, but it was like 5 minutes long or something like that. It was like, oh my God, Marvin, I love you, but this is killing this thing. And
there was a guy in San Francisco who was the public address announcer at Candlestick Park for years and years and years. He started with the Giants. His name was Jeff Carter. And every day he would sing the national anthem a cappella. He must have sung it 5 days a week because you don't always have a guest artist come to Candlestick Park for every day game and every night game. You still have to have the national anthem. And he sang it a cappella, and he sang it day after day. And the guy just knew his onions. He did it in a remarkable fashion, time and time again. And I had such great respect for him because, one, he was the voice of God, and he was the voice of now batting number 24, Willie Mays. If you got to say that every day, think of what a great job that was.
Yeah,
and
you had a great life, man.
He got to announce the Giants lineup, but he also sang the national anthem. And not everybody who's a PA announcer can sing. It's a fact. And not everybody who can sing the national anthem. It's a challenge. And he managed to do it every day without screwing it up.
Having sung it at a ballpark, it is a challenge. It's a challenge in several areas.
The echo.
One of the biggest things is you get lost in the echo, and I sang it in the days before headphones and all of that stuff with earplugs and everything like that. So, you're hearing the sound bouncing off everything, and all of a sudden you're, 2 lines in, and you're going, "Where am I?"
Because you can't not hear the echo.
Right. You have to put the echo out of your mind, which is a hard thing to do. Not the hardest thing to do. We have experience at it because we've been listening to IFB lines for our entire career. So when you have to listen to a producer talking into your ear, you kind of learn to shut half of your brain off so that you can not listen to something that's coming into your ears.
I thought it was worse than Oakland. Candlestick had the echo, but I thought the echo at the Oakland Coliseum was worse. It was longer and it came back louder, and it was a harsh companion.
And also, the echo had with Roy Steele when he would announce in the Oakland Coliseum. I mean, you talk about the voice of God. This guy had the pipes, man.
Yeah.
He had incredible pipes. And so when he would say something in the Oakland Coliseum, it would bounce around the Coliseum. And the way it was built in a bowl, the sound couldn't escape that bowl. It couldn't get over the what we used to call Canseco Shores.
The ramparts.
The river that was that ran behind the Coliseum.
Yeah.
Shea Stadium had that also. Had an echo where you thought you were hearing the guy 5 times. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest guy in the world. That's Yankee Stadium echo.
Yeah, which was made famous by the Lou Gehrig speech.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so it's probably made famous before that. Have you ever seen a game where they just give the PA announcer a megaphone and just make him stand out there? And I've seen that at a
throwback day.
Yeah, the throwback day, and that was kind of odd because that's where the echo actually helps you out.
Finally, somebody can hear me.
Right. It doesn't have the power to bounce, but it gets enough power to maybe soak the seats. I don't know, but that's
Vinnie,
a tough job.
What are you driving?
What am I driving, Michael? Funny you should mention that because I just happen to have the what I'm driving right here. Put that up there, and that's the Toyota Land Cruiser, and
looks a little like a Humvee.
Yeah, well, it's meant to look like an off-road vehicle. The Land Cruiser for many years was the standard of off-road vehicles. I mean, when you see old movies, from the 60s and 70s, you see the Brits, motoring across Africa. They're doing it in Land Cruisers.
Range Rovers, yeah.
And Range Rovers, yeah. And this was basically Toyota's answer to the Range Rover. The one problem with the Range Rover that people don't talk about is it was British, so it would have electrical problems all the time.
The Prince of Darkness.
Yeah.
I miss the Tappet brothers because they always talked about the Prince of Darkness that worked for Jaguar for years.
Yeah, anything with those Lucas electrical systems in them. So anyway, the Japanese came up with this in the 60s. And it's really a great off-road vehicle. Now, they have, of course, luxuriated it. They've made it into more of a luxury vehicle than an off-road vehicle. But it still has great off-road capability. So it seems. Now, I have not taken it. I drove one last year. That's how I know this. And, next week is our Mud Fest. So... It's except I'm going to be down, driving a whole bunch of vehicles like this. But really, this
in Mudville,
Land
Oregon.
Rover. Say again?
Is that held in Mudville, Oregon?
No, I wish it was. It'll be held in on the peninsula, the Key Peninsula, and actually the track is in Shelton, Washington. Mm-hmm. So we'll be headed out there Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. To run all these vehicles through their paces, but this particular vehicle is one of the best off-road vehicles I have driven in a long time, and which is kind of strange because it's not a vehicle for everybody. This is not a vehicle that you go out and you buy if you have a wife and two kids or three kids, and you're never going to take the thing off road. This is for the adventurers. This is for the people that are seriously going to go off road, seriously go traipsing through the woods, seriously go traipsing through land where there's not a lot of roads, where there's hills, where there's rocks, where there's, it's heavy duty off road. And it's a vehicle, the ones I've driven and everything I've read about it, it's well suited to handle that. It's geared right. It has a ton of safety equipment and equipment that will help you in overlanding situations, low gears, wheel locks, so that if you're headed down a hill, you can lock the vehicle in place and get out and do something. Maybe you're on a hill and you have to dig a tree stump out of the way or move something. This vehicle, it can handle all of that. It has all of the different electronic improvements that they've come up to and with in these cars. This is, for my money, one of the best off-road vehicles out there. It is not for everybody. On the road, it doesn't have the greatest ride in the world. I mean, the tires, I'm sure, have a lot to do with it. They're off-road tires. They're not tires that are really built to be on pavement all the time. The tires that are built to be going through the woods, going up dirt roads. But if you live that Northwest lifestyle and you like that kind of vehicle, and you want something that you can put a tent on top of and go camping further than most of your friends up in the woods and find that forest road and that area that is suitable for you to do that, this is a great vehicle. This is really a solid vehicle. It's not the roomiest inside. The Forerunner is much more a vehicle that will do this vehicle's job and put you on the road.
To get all the kids to school.
Yeah. That you'll, you're not. It's not going to be a rough ride. I mean, I would imagine if you had to drive this thing every day, all day, like it would get tiresome. Your back would hurt after a while. This is a vehicle that could use the massaging seats. But again, if you consider that you buy a vehicle for what it's built for, off-road, I will match this vehicle up against any vehicle that you put in that position. And the Land Rover is the one that you consider the best of that class of vehicles. Oddly enough,
do they make a lot of them every year with that limited sales target?
Yeah. I don't know what the yearly figures are, but it's certainly a purpose-built vehicle. It's like if you buy a sports car. If you buy a sports car, you do it with the understanding that it may not be your daily driver. It may be something that you take out on the weekends or so on and so forth. It might be uncomfortable to sit in for a long time. It might be low to the ground. This is kind of, in that class of vehicles. But if you have a $70,000 around in a tent that you want to spend, Toyota be happy to sell you one.
Happy to sell you one, definitely.
Oh, we're happy.
Well, I guess you'll be talking about it tomorrow at 11 o'clock.
We'll be talking about that. We'll also have a preview of Mudfest with my good friend Tom Volk. And there are people that get not hundreds of speeding tickets, but thousands of speeding tickets. There are drivers in this country, in California and in New York, that get in excess of 1,000 speeding tickets every license which is usually a 3-year deal. And
that sounds like an expensive habit.
So some states want to do something about it. And they want to put speed, when you get convicted of a certain amount of speeding tickets, they want to put a speed limiter on your car.
Oh, dear.
They want to say, sorry, but you shouldn't be driving. You know, there's in these cars now, there are these devices, GPSs, that can tell what the speed limit is where you're driving. It's what makes that little road sign come up on your dashboard if you have one of these cars. And it says speed limit 55, speed limit, whatever. And so New York is the latest state. I think Washington and one other state has the law already. There's another state, and New York is considering it right now.
So they want you to pay your fine, or is this just you're an unsafe driver?
You'll pay your fine, and you'll have this speed limiter. There is what made me laugh in researching this story is that, let's see, Virginia, Maryland, and Washington have passed super speeder bills. That's what they call these people, super speeders. Now, there's also the technology is also in use in Europe because, you know, they are, they're not hip about speeding. They don't like you speeding through those small streets. You know, they want you they want you to use a little bit of sense, and it looks like, from all indications, that people in Europe tend to use a little more common sense when they drive. In New York State,
fun auf der Autobahn.
Yes, and they treat their people like that. They build roads like the Autobahn that allow you to go 100 miles an hour if you want to. But you also are tested and licensed according to what your capabilities are. In New York City, there is one driver who has amassed more than 500 speeding and red light violations since 2022, according to the transportation news site Streets blog.
I'm surprised he hasn't stacked up his vehicle.
No, he has. Well, he may have. I don't know. Do you want me to tell you his occupation?
He's a policeman.
Bingo. James Giovansanti is a police officer for Staten Island, and he has amassed over 500 speeding and red light violations. When the city officials met at City Hall Wednesday to support this super speeder bill, they had a box. They had speeding tickets in these boxes. One whole box was Giovansanti's tickets alone.
He must be given a break for the fact that he's a police officer.
It doesn't look like it. Well, they have red light cameras and speeding cameras in New York. If you go in New York City, they have those cameras, but they only fine people, I think, $500 if you get caught, and you don't get points on your license because it's considered a vehicle. They can't prove who the driver is, so the law says that they can give a ticket to the registered owner of the vehicle, but not to the driver, because they don't know who's driving. A police department spokesman said that the officer's tickets were under internal review and that the violations occurred when he was off duty.
And off island, too. Is it easy to go 90 miles an hour in Staten Island as it is on the
Not anymore.
Freeway to Connecticut?
Not anymore. It used to be. When I first started going over to Staten Island, when my father first moved over to Staten Island, yeah, it was easy to go. You could do 90 on Highland Boulevard. You can do it now, but they'll get you. You know, I don't think there's anybody at my father's end of Highland Boulevard, where my dad lived before he passed away. My stepmom lives. My brother lives. Other members of my family live out there. I don't think that there is anybody who hasn't gotten a speeding ticket on Highland Boulevard. It's just it's still a wide open road with, in many places, nothing on the sides of it. Although that's rapidly changing.
And we should remind folks that Staten Island is the Trump stronghold for New York City, whereas Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn are for the most part Democratic territory. Staten Island's always been the different one.
Yes. Yeah. There's many times when Staten Islanders have wanted to secede from the city. They wanted to go over to New Jersey. They wanted to become their own borough, their own state. But the fact of the matter is that Staten Island depends on New York City for so much, and much more since they built the Verrazano Narrows Bridge back in 1964. It was opened in 1964.
Brought a lot of traffic to Staten Island. Brought a lot of outside life into the island.
Yeah, it brought a ton of people from Brooklyn over to Staten Island. Half the Italians in Brooklyn moved over to Staten Island because you could get a little bit of land with your house. Because several reasons.
Paul Castellano wasn't living there anymore. There was room.
Yeah, well, it's the mob guys lived over there for years, up on Toad Hill, which is where the mansions are. But again, you could build. You could build it with some land. It felt like the country. Not like that much anymore. I mean, they filled in every space that they could fill in over there. But there's still, if you go out to that other end of the island, Tottenville and Stapleton and all those places, it's still fairly rural. Not as rural as it used to be. But anyway, I find it I find these bills fascinating. The idea that, so we're going to talk about them.
I find that the guy has got 500 tickets and he still has the driver's license. That doesn't make sense to me. But
and
he's
his
a cop.
Badge.
Yeah.
And his badge. That's the other thing. I mean, if somebody got a speeding ticket from him, how could you not why would you not go to court and say, look at this guy? How the hell does he know what speeding is?
Right. Good point. Well, you can talk about that at 11 o'clock tomorrow on your broadcast known as Drive Time.
Yes, 11 o'clock tomorrow. Please join us for that. There's another thing I wanted to mention, Michael, before we go. I just found this funny. My old stomping grounds in Pennsylvania is a Democratic primary going on. You know that's basically a Democratic area. It's a large Republican area, but still Democrats win. And I got a letter, an email actually, from a guy that's running for senator. I think he's running for Congress, actually. I'm sorry. He's running for the House of Representatives. And when I saw his name, I thought of you. It's Wayne Fontana.
And the Mindbenders.
Is running for... And I
running for his life, running to stay ahead of the revenuers.
I sent this guy an email back with a couple of links to Wayne Fontana and the Mindbenders' work, saying you should adopt this as one of your campaign songs. And I just when I saw that, I got a kick out of it. I said, if I was back there, this guy would get my vote. Wayne Fontana.
The game of love.
The game of love. Yes. La 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 la. Of course, the Mindbenders. Two of the guys in the Mindbenders went on to form 10cc.
And then they started really bending minds.
Yes. You still can't listen to "I'm Not in Love" without that sound. I'm not in love.
60. They had like 60,000 vocal tracks on that. It was remarkable. Never been
Great
before.
records, great.
Yeah.
You got, great writers, great song crafters. So I thought you'd get a kick out of that. And one more thing, if you got a chance over the weekend to read it, the New York Times is running a series of the greatest living songwriters.
Hmm.
Um, I think it might be the top 100 greatest living songwriters. I guess it was spurred on by the passing just a few weeks ago of Neil Sedaka. They wanted to identify the greatest. Who are the greatest songwriters left in our society.
Well,
So
Paul Simon's still alive.
yeah, I don't know if they ranked them. I didn't notice if they ranked them. And I don't know if it's as much of a ranking as just a quest
Recognize
um,
him.
to just recognize them and to make people aware of them. Maybe make you go out and find some of their music and listen to some of their music, or actually even uh, find out that they wrote some songs that you never knew were written by
Is Ellie Greenwich
anybody but
still
the
alive?
artist that sang them. Excuse me?
Is Ellie Greenwich still alive?
No, I think she passed a couple of years ago. I think she
Well,
not
it's
not
Carole
that
King is still with us.
Carole King is still alive. Yeah, not that. It wasn't that long ago because I stood next to Ellie Greenwich, and actually my daughter and I met her um, after one of the Letterman shows, because she
Hmm.
used to come in and play with Paul Schaefer in the band when they did the Christmas Baby Please Come Home.
Right.
And we were standing outside the Ed Sullivan Theater and both waiting for a cab. And the cab pulled up, and we were both standing on the corner, and I said, "You take it. It's all yours."
Thanks for the hits. Get out of here.
Yeah, really. You take it, man. I'm not going to get in the cab ahead of royalty. But we had a quick "how you doing?" I really appreciate your songwriting and yada yada conversation. Nothing deep. I would have loved to have, and probably if I didn't have Aaron with me, I would have shared the cab and said, "I don't know, I'm going where you're going. I want to talk for a few minutes."
Let's go to Chinatown.
Yeah, let's go down to 17 or 21 and have a meal. But that was my close encounter with Ellie Greenwich, a great songwriter and a wonderful person. It seemed like, at least in the few moments encounter that I had with her. So
Excellent.
yeah, if I know you're into this, and obviously by being able to name off those people, there's another guy that's in there, and I knew about him and I knew the songs, but I didn't know much about him. Tony Wine. You familiar with Tony Wine?
I know that name. I can't tell you what you
He's
wrote.
written a bunch of songs. I think he wrote "The Worst That Can Happen."
Hmm.
What are you going to do? Your husband, my wife. He wrote a lot of songs um, around Jim Webb, another one of our greatest. I mean, you talk about greatest songwriters,
Jimmy Webb.
uh, living songwriters. I mean, there's a guy that wrote a ton of great songs and is still around, still performing. Um, if you're around New York City, I think he does like the Carlisle Hotel or something like that. The room that Bobby Short used to sit in, and Mel
Hmm.
Torme. I think he goes there once or twice a month and does something. So if you go ahead into New York City, look
And
up
sings
for the.
"The Moon is a Harsh Mistress."
Well, he wrote that song for the 3 Degrees that appeared in the French Connection. When the 3 Degrees are singing in the French
Mhm.
Connection, Everybody's Going to the Moon is a Jimmy Webb song. The song that they are singing when Popeye and his partner walk into the bar and they spot uh,
The
the
Frenchie.
mafia guys sitting at the table. And it's a great little song. Everybody's going to the moon. And I asked Jimmy Webb once, why did you write that song? He said, well, I wanted to challenge myself to find words that rhymed with June. And Moon was the only one that I could think of right away. So
Soon. Tune.
I mean, there's probably a ton of them, but that was the answer he gave, and I thought it was a smart answer. All right, Michael. What do you say?
Have a good show tomorrow, Ben.
Thank you, Michael. What do you say we do this Monday?
Get your May Day out of your system and join us for another day in May.
I'm gonna go hit the pole outside, man. Just boom, bitty boom, bitty boom, bitty boom, bitty boom. And will it be Cinco de Mayo on? See,
today's the
today,
first,
2,
so
3, 4, the 5th.
Cinco de Mayo is coming. That is our 41st or 42nd anniversary. I can't remember which, but we're celebrating a wedding anniversary here on the Cinco de Mayo.
45th?
41st.
Wow.
41 years.
That's beautiful. You know, that's yeah. I tear up. Oh, one more thing before I go.
Hey.
I broke down and I kicked in the $40 to the kitchen.
What's he going to do? He hasn't said what he's going to do.
No, I don't think he's telling any. Who knows if he? Well, I'm sure he knows what he's going to do. But anyway, that's coming up too. I think on the 20th or something like that is the last show.
Last day of the. It doesn't have the full month of May.
Yeah, he's going to be out, and that'll be sad. I mean, I came to really like that show. I went from really not liking him all that much to liking that show.
He got motivated in a new way to do a different.
Well, his last 2 months of shows, 3 months of shows have been spectacular.
Yeah,
he's had everybody on there, and have really been incredible. If you can, for the last month, drop in on it.
You don't have to listen late at night. You can just tape it and watch it in the afternoon.
Yeah, tape it and watch it, or go on YouTube. There's clips of the show of the meaty parts, the dialogue,
right,
and the guest. And he's had some incredible guests. I think this upcoming week, Barack Obama will be one of his guests. I'll be interested in hearing what Barack has to say. And listen, to CBS's credit, they've let him. They only tried to stop one guest. Which is one too many.
And they made that mistake only once.
And he outsmarted him. So he put it on YouTube and it got millions of views. So anyway, all right. See you Monday after Lord's will and the creek don't rise.
All right, Vinnie. Have a good weekend.
You too, Michael. Peace, love, and Manischewitz.
Try it in your own home. It's quite a wine.
See you, Mikey. Thank you all for listening, too. We appreciate it.